guess what this month is? I'll give you 2 seconds. It is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And usually around this time, I'll be running around with like a chicken with the head cut off, getting ready for my show, or would have already had my show this past Sunday because I usually have it on a Sunday. And it's bittersweet. I really wish I could have had my show. It would have been my 5th year. I was going to be doing it big. But, God has other plans for me. And I am glad that I got time to take this year off because I have got so much behind the scenes stuff accomplished. So next year, I'm going to just start trying to break stuff off little by little. Some people, you don't see me working, but I'm working. All right. So, this is going to be a very, very special episode. This episode and the next episode, because it is Domestic Violence Awareness. I do not have a guest today, but I do have some stories to read. These are from people who have their story out there, who didn't want to actually be seen on TV or actually come out and say it. So I'm going to be reading these stories to you guys. It's about 3 or 4 stories, and they have the story, they have how they coped, what advice they'll give. So I'm gonna read everything, and then whatever time we have left, we'll see what we can get to, okay? But I got about 4 stories, so I should be able to get through all 4 of them. If not, then shall be continued. Okay, but before I start those stories, I do want to do my shout outs. These shout outs are kind of a goodbye shout out for me. They say death comes in threes, and within, I want to say these last 2 weeks, 3 people that I know has passed away. One of them was a high school friend of mine. His name was Rayshawn Pope. Rayshawn, from what I can remember, he was very goofy, very loving. He was a caring person. He never had no trouble with nobody. He actually, I don't know a lot of his history, like what he did after school, but he was a very loving person. I know he did go to the military. I'm not sure how many years he served. And I know he had an accident where he had to actually learn how to walk and talk again. And he just passed away. I'm not sure of what, but Rayshawn Pope, you will be missed. Another person that passed away was actually, this was personal. It was my stepfather. His name was Walt Butler. He was a really great man. He was kind of hard to read when we first met him. Him and my mom was together for about almost 16, 17 years. And at first, I did not think he liked me. But, as time went on, I could see that was just him. That was just his personality. And I grew to love him. And I know he loved us back. He had his, his silent moments of showing it. But Walter was a really good man. And he loved the kids. He loved his grandkids. He always said, they keep me going. They keep me going. And to lose him, it was hard. But he's not suffering no more. The third person that passed away was actually a model sister of mine. I didn't know her personally, but I know I seen her pictures. I seen her walk. I seen her at a show. I seen her a couple of places, and she, her name was Shay Moore. I do not know how to pronounce her whole name, but people called her Shay, and she was actually killed. She was dropping a friend off. They just went out, to have a good time. She was dropping a friend off. They were sitting there talking in her car, and someone came up, tried to rob her, shot her, and killed her. So she will be dearly missed. When I first heard about it, of course, it brought back a trigger to when I got shot at flood of tears came. Everything just came like rushing back. Her situation was a little different. Someone was actually trying to rob her. Me, I was just, riding, and like I said a couple of things, and I got shot at. Luckily, I did not get hit, but my car got hit 3 times. But again, so rest in peace to Rayshawn, Walter, and Shay. You guys will be truly missed. No, Shay was she did New York Fashion Week, and I heard that she was getting ready to go to Paris. She also did Columbus Fashion Week. She's a really good model, and I am upset that I didn't get a chance to personally work with her or have her in one of my shows. Okay. Speaking of shows, I do have one coming up. I will have the details soon as I lock in everything. So I don't want to jump the gun, but I am having a show. I am right now I'm going to be having a model call. It will be October. Let me see and pull up the date, because I didn't forgot the date already. But it will be a 3-day event. It's going to be October 23rd through 25th at Curious Park, 17218 Tarkington Avenue. It's going to be from 3 to 6. Now, this is an outside audition, so please dress for the weather. I'm only accepting 25 female models, 10 males, and 5 kids, if I reach that maximum. But that's the maximum that I will take. But just to let you guys know, get that out there. So come on out to the model call. It's for a good event. It's going to be for the Black Parade Poetry and Fashion event that I'm going to be having in September. And I'm going to have it, not September, I'm sorry, in February. And I'm going to try to have it for Black History Month. So keep out a look for that too, in more details. All right, guys. So I'm going to get started with these stories. The first one is from a lady named Amy. I have been seeing this guy for over 3 months. We both drank a lot. One night he got mad at me and called me a whole lot of names, and then pushed me against the wall. I got really scared, but he said he was sorry and he'll never do it again. Another night he wanted to make love, and I asked him to put on a condom. He said he didn't have one. I asked him to stop, and he wouldn't. And he said that it didn't matter, not to worry about it. At first, I sort of laughed because I thought he was joking. But then I realized he was serious, and I got scared. I told him to stop, but he wouldn't, and I pushed him away. But he pushed me back and pinned me down with his body. He was very strong. He raped me. How I coped. I had been abused as a child, and I told him about it. I was very depressed already, and I had been cutting myself. Things got really bad after that rape. I tried to kill myself. I think I wanted to cut myself really bad, and I cut too deep. I ended up nearly dead, and they rushed me to the hospital. How did the situation change? I started to get counseling and had to deal with all the childhood abuse and also all the alcohol and drugs. I had done all the people I have done. Wait, what did I say? I had done and all the people I had slept with. And I also talked about how much I cut myself and burnt myself. I was going crazy. And all I can do is think about wanting to kill myself. I hated myself too. But getting counseling and a support group and getting antidepressants really, really helped. What helped me? My sisters and my friends saved my life, and I put them through hell. I didn't really want to start to change until one night I felt my body that I wasn't to blame. I really was screwed up and doing the best that I could. I realized that I had to forgive myself for some things and that I wasn't to blame. And I realized that I would have to continue forgiving myself for my mistakes. What would you say to others? Abuse doesn't get better if you don't do anything. It just keeps getting worse. You have to be your own friend. You have to have compassion for yourself. You have to forgive yourself. You deserve better. You are a precious human being, and you deserve to be treated with respect. And you cannot give up. Don't hurt yourself. Hang in there. You are not alone. So her situation wasn't actual like a physical abuse. It was a rape abuse. Um, with the pushing, yes, you could say that's physical. But what I'm saying is like it wasn't. He didn't like punch her or anything like that. It was a rape, and that is a form of abuse. Okay, and it's not right. There are a couple of things that I really don't want to go into detail about, but it did happen to me. It happened to me a couple of times. Um, so with her situation, it hits my heart, and so that's why I wanted to read that. Um, she knew the person that did that to her. Sometimes you know the person, sometimes you don't. But this was her story, and this is the questions that she was asked and the answers that she gave. Now I'm going to move on to another story. This story is from a lady named Jane. My journey from hell and back began 12 years ago. I met him when he moved in next door to me. We became friends and later moved in. And he later moved in with me. And we became an item. He had me hook, line, and sinker. A real charmer. He was a rebel. A life became fast and exciting. Parties, dancing, drinking, and then more drinking. I didn't see it coming. We out with some friends and his mates. Mates, I love that. And he had been drinking all day. And then his old girlfriend arrived. I was upset because he sat on her knee and kissed her. So I went and sat in the car. He came over, so I locked the door. He put his fist through the passenger window and drug me through it. After receiving a punch to the head, one of his friends drove me home. At home, I tended to my sore head, scrapes, and bruises. But what hurt the most was that it happened at all. The next day, when he arrived at the flat, he was full of remorse. Things wouldn't be different. He wouldn't drink. He said he wouldn't drink. He would never hurt me again. I believed him. Things did improve for a while. As soon as I discovered I was pregnant, he seemed over the moon with the news. A few months later, he came back home drunk. And after arguing, he punched me in the stomach. I ended up in the hospital with a ruptured cyst on my ovary. The baby was all right. Returning home, I gave him an ultimatum. His mates or me. Because when he goes out with his mates, he gets drunk. So he chose me. However, after our baby was born, the drinking continued and the abuse continued. I stayed as I could not see a way out. Brief times when he was sober, things seemed pleasant. My way of life became moving from house to house with him as people became aware of my situation. Although I had learned to hide the bruises, and he was good at not leaving them where they could be seen. Over the years, I took out several intervention orders on him, which I then dropped when he made promises and sometimes even threats against me. On our child's birthday, he received a gold sentence for several months for drunk driving and assault of a police officer. I still didn't leave. During his time in jail, I visit often. I think that was supposed to say jail, not that one. He made more promises, no more drinking, no more abuse. When he left jail, things were great for a while. And I hope that this time the jail has changed him. I got pregnant again, and this time with twins. When I was pregnant, we moved again, this time to be close to his family, as I was going to need help and support with the twins on the way. This was a move I should have never made. His father also had a drinking problem. They were a bad influence on each other. During my pregnancy, he abused me again and again. Another time, I pulled a kitchen knife on him and he laughed, as he knew I would not use it. Then he spat in my face. There were times when he was at the hotel with his parents. I would pray that someone would knock on the door and tell me he was dead, rather than face him coming home. I was trapped. The only people I knew were his family. I had no way out. Once our new babies were born, things remained the same. I looked after the children. He went to the hotel or to smoke dope with his mates. Life was tough, and often there was no money or no food. I stopped eating so we would go further. As long as he had beer, he didn't care. He would complain when the babies cried and tell me to shut them up or else. Every day I lived in fear, never knowing what his mood would be. One day I left him to care for the twins so I can collect our oldest child from daycare. I returned home to find one of the twins was cold and shaking, and I was horrified. It turned out they had a dirty nappy. I'm sorry. They wrote this, so I'm just reading, and it's funny. Dirty nappy. It turned out they had a dirty nappy, and he had put them in the bath with the cold shower running in the middle of the winter. A few weeks later, when he collected one of the twins from her cots, I found she had a blanket over her, and the skirt was wrapped around her head and shoved in her mouth. I quickly removed it, and she gasped for breath. I was shocked and angry. How could he do this to his own child? I confronted him and rang his parents for help. When his parents arrived, his father was drunk, saying it was all right, son. I knew he was BSing. He swung a few punches at me, then left to go with his parents for the night. I was distraught, frightened, and I knew I had to protect my child. I found the phone book and looked under domestic violence in the front. I got several phone numbers. I started with the first. The first few refugees I rang were full, and I asked if I could wait. Finally, a Salvation Army refugee and an elderly man answered. I don't know how he understood me through my many sobs as I was trying to tell my story. Not now. Tell me when you get here. Do you need help? How soon can you get here? My replies were on our way. I grabbed my box of photos, albums, a garbage bag full of clothes for my children and myself, and I took my dog, which had been a loyal friend for so many years, and we left. Driving early that morning, I was a little scared of the future, but not like I had been every day for the last 5 years. The eggshells I had been trending on were gone. My children could cry, and I didn't have to hush them. I was determined to turn my life around. I spent a week at the refugee before moving interstate. I changed my name and began to rebuild my life. A few months later, I moved into a housing commission house, got a part time job, and had started making friends for the first time since leaving school. Life was great. 14 months later, after I trusted the wrong person, he contacted me. He pleaded with me to believe that he could change, that he had counseling, anger management, etc., etc. He was real convincing. The old charm was back. I agreed to give it a trial, but said that things would have to go slowly. He could not live with me, and no more alcohol. He saw us once a month to begin with, as he lived a long way away. Soon he moved to a town where I was living. One weekend he was staying with us. He started drinking. We argued, and I asked him to leave. He refused. I went to phone the police. He hit the phone out of my hand and pushed me to my knees. He put one hand around my throat and squeezed. I was able to break away, and I ran to the front door. He caught up with me in the neighbor's garden, pushed me to the ground, started punching and kicking me. I thought he was going to kill me. A female voice called out, and she said she called the police, and he fled. I believe if it wasn't for the intervention of the stranger, I'd not be here today. Oh my goodness. I got more because I got her questions now, like how the situation changed, but wow. I related with her in some of the things that she was saying as far as walking on eggshells, never knowing his mood, when he got there. He never, touched our child though. That was taken to a whole nother level. And it really brings me to tears, Oh my goodness. I didn't read these ahead of time. I'm reading these, with you guys. So if I stutter or anything, please excuse me. But wow. After all that time lapse, after her changing her name, moving, I know that that's the kid's father, but she shouldn't have answered. But again, it's everybody, it's that individual. It's up to that individual to be completely done. But some of them things that she was saying, I feel her pain. I really do. Especially the spitting in the face. He didn't punch me in my face. He didn't punch me in my stomach when I was pregnant, but he did push, he'll push on my stomach. And he did spit in my face. So reading that, I just got all in disgust again, because I feel like that's the nastiest thing you can do to a person. Especially someone with my pretty face. No, just all right, so let me get back to her story. How the situation changed. He was charged with assault, but only received a good behavior bond. I was disappointed in the legal system, as the court has allowed him contact with children. I still had to face him every other weekend. My goodness, Lord have mercy, that's what I gotta do. I gotta face him every other weekend. Mostly in the summertime, though. Whew, I wanted nothing to do with him. He would not accept the relationship was over, and one night, returning to my house, and he started smashing my windows. The children was not there. I called the police, and he was arrested. I have not spoken to him since. I am still fighting him in court. He wants contact with the children. He's been back in prison several times for similar offenses. In a long process, and I have been hoping, it's been a long process, and I have been hoping it'll come to an end. We moved to a new house. Although I was advised to move towns, I decided to stay. I had built a network of friends and support of this community. He has not got to he has not got to beat me again. The Salvation Army has given us so much support. I know there is always someone that I can talk to who will listen and even pray with me at times that I need them to. I wanted to do this for myself, and 3 years ago, I joined a martial arts club. I have worked hard to get where I am, and I am proud of what I achieved. That is a really good thing to do, to take self-defense classes. We all. I haven't done it myself, but I need to. Kick some butts. Last year, I met the most beautiful man. He was kind, gentle, and we connected straight away. The best of all, the children think he's wonderful. He always has time for them. He always listens to them, read them stories. He makes them cool lunches, fix their bikes, and play football with them. Most of all, he loves them at their own. We spend time camping, fishing. He always makes me feel safe. Our life is complete, and I am thankful every day that I have him in my life. I will cherish what future begins, and what we're planning our wedding day next year. Oh, so pretty. My advice to others. Many victims of domestic abuse feel they lack the appropriate support to enable them to positively alter the situation. But having finally taken steps to free myself and my 3 children from repeatedly ongoing abuse, I know it's possible. My advice is for others is don't be afraid to ask for help. Even if you have to swallow your pride, believe in yourself. Don't give up and use the chance to change your destiny, although it might seem difficult. Everyone has the right to live in their destiny in their own home, free from fear of violence and harm. I have felt angry, mischief, and somewhat guilt by the justice system. But I haven't given up. I am still fighting. Now, she put a poem on here, and she said this little piece of poem inspired her. And we all have our things that inspire, inspire ourselves. So let's listen to see what she says. Let's see. Too many IFS. Too many wins. Too many sorries. And never agains. Too many promises. Too many lies. Far too many one more tries. How many were there before I knew? The actions speak louder than promises do. That right there, that little short poem was amazing. And oh my goodness, she got more. I didn't know she had all this. Oh my goodness. All right. I think I might just stop it there. Let's see. Because I think I'm gonna stop it there. Because the next story is Anne's story, and her story is a little bit long, but we will. Well, no, her name's not Anne. I'm sorry, it's Anna. Sorry, Anna. But we're gonna stop right there at that. That was a really good story, and what she's saying is true. I related to both of these stories in different ways. I know there's people out there that relate to these stories as well. And like she said, do not be afraid to get help. I'm a good person to come and talk to. I listen. I've been through it. If you feel like you want to talk, your secrets and your convo is safe with me. Unless you want to come on the show, then we can talk about it on air. But I am going to wrap up the show. That is it for today. So you guys remember, Don't let the triggers control you. Learn how to control the triggers. You guys have a great day. Don't forget, it's Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And don't forget to tune in to the next show. Not next Wednesday, but the Wednesday after that. Mwah.